and document transfer timelines between offices. The atmosphere in the Kensington Palace office became more tense than ever during those days. William stood at the large desk, flipping through thick folders. His eyes were sharp, missing no detail. The results gradually emerged clearly, and alarmingly, many proposals to reduce the king's not merely precautions. They had become the foundation for the silent power struggle now underway. She thought she could control the pace of the transition, but she did not expect that her actions would inadvertently accelerate everything towards an unavoidable climax. The battle had truly begun. Would Camilla be exposed before it was too late? After discovering the irregularities in document handling, William could not remain idle. He decided to act systematically, turning suspicion into concrete evidence. Working with his trusted team, the prince requested a full cross-check of schedules, internal email information, especially health reports. Real power would slip from her grasp, and she was prepared to do whatever was necessary to delay that moment. Camilla's decisions 3 months earlier were known. William loved and respected his father, which made it even harder for him to sit idly by. In the days that followed, William began observing more closely. He saw his father still attending meetings, reviewing documents, and making public appearances with a strong sense of duty. Yet through their brief private conversations, William noticed the accumulating fatigue. Charles tried to hide it, but his perceptive son could not fail to see it. But occasionally heavy steps haunted William. Charles had endured countless hardships, from a serious illness to public criticism, but he remained steadfast in his duty to the crown. Catherine, with the sensitive instincts of a wife and mother, shared his worries. One late evening, as the couple sat by the fireplace, she clasped her husband's hand tightly. "We can't let your father exhaust himself." "But you brought the most important folder," the original schedule provided by the secretary. Father and son sat facing each other in a private room, the atmosphere heavy, yet filled with emotion. William placed the documents on the table, his voice steady. "Father, I have cross-checked everything. This is what actually happened before the documents reached you." Charles quietly flipped through each page. His expression changed from initial surprise to deep disappointment, then to suppressed anger respecting the moment. He understood his father was wrestling internally between family affection and duty to the monarchy. Finally, Charles looked up, his voice resolute despite his fatigue. "I see clearly now. This cannot continue. I will convene a meeting immediately." An emergency meeting was held with senior advisor. He saw clearly many important proposals had been altered, crossed out, or delayed before he approved them. Those edited lines were not just ink on paper. They were proof of deliberate interference in royal affairs. Charles placed his hand on the folder and remained silent for a long time. William sat quietly. Transition would automatically slow down. Her office would maintain its key role in coordinating royal activities. She understood William's character well. He would never confront his father directly at this time, fearing it would worsen Charles's condition. That was the weakness Camilla cleverly exploited. In a private conversation with her, those words carried a deep fear of losing influence. Camilla had stood by Charles through the most difficult times, and she did not want her position shaken. Chief aide, Camilla partially revealed her true thoughts. "William and Catherine are still young. They have time. The king still has strength. We cannot let everything change too quickly. Those were returned with generic reasons, requires the king's direct review, or not the right time." Camilla was confident in her strategy. As long as Charles continued appearing at major events and smiling before the public, the power
the king says, you need to give up your titles. This is getting ridiculous.
It all began not with a public speech, but with a schedule that sent a chill down Prince William's spine. While laying the transfer of responsibilities to protect the power behind the palace walls. But what pained William the most was not the withheld files, but the sight of his father still exhaustedly shouldering every obligation, while completely unaware of what was happening around him. Was Camilla truly protected? Before reaching him, William discovered that everything had to pass through Queen Camilla's office. The more he investigated, the more he suspected that someone was quietly delaying.
King Charles's health continued to deteriorate after multiple rounds of treatment. The most important duties of the royal family were still meticulously scheduled for the king himself, while William, the heir to the throne, was almost entirely sidelined from any preparation plans.
When medical reports repeatedly vanished on the documents his son presented, he flipped through several pages, his face gradually showing surprise mixed with disappointment. William stood still, his heart pounding, but maintaining the necessary respect. He made no specific accusations, only presenting the facts as objectively as possible.
Charles sighed deeply, his voice low. "You have done very well in investigating this thoroughly. I will review it carefully, but compile the specific evidence for me. Any mistake could bring down the monarchy." William left the meeting feeling somewhat relieved, but he knew the journey was not over. Following the trail not only helped protect his father, but also affirmed his own role in the reign. In the days that followed, he continued close monitoring, ready for new developments.
The concern for his father's health disappointment, with internal scheming and heavy responsibility for the monarchy's future, made William even more determined. He was not pursuing power, but only
Pressed worry and anger. "My father's health reports have to go through Camilla first. This is no longer a simple administrative issue. Indeed, over the past weeks, King Charles had continued to
doctors to recommendations for adjusting the schedule had to pass through Queen Camilla's office before reaching any other department.
This is not normal," William told Catherine early one morning, as they prepared for a busy day. His voice lowered mixed with slumped after long ceremonies, his steps occasionally heavier, and though his eyes remained sharp, they showed clear signs of accumulated fatigue. Charles tried to conceal it, as a king always must, but to William, the eldest son and heir, every hearing at official events, he smiled before the public shook hands with distinguished guests and delivered responsible speeches. But those close to him noticed the changes, his shoulders slightly,
and a series of receptions for heads of state all still list King Charles III as the primary host. Despite the royal physicians repeatedly advising the king to significantly reduce his workload due to his unstable health following treatments, the schedule remained packed.
William to familiarize himself and provide support. This time, there seemed to be no signs of preparation for him at all.
Catherine, the Princess of Wales, entered the room at that moment. She wore a simple dress, her hair neatly tied up, but her eyes radiated her usual sharpness and underlying concern. Seeing her husband sitting silently amid to a degree that would worry anyone.
"This isn't right," William muttered, his hand gripping the edge of the document tightly. He had long prepared himself mentally for the role of successor, but he had never imagined the transition would be delayed in such an inexplicable way. In the past, his father had always proactively delegated important tasks to allow
Charles looked at his son with trusting eyes. "William, you are ready. I trust you."
Camilla tried to explain, her voice slightly trembling. "Charles, it was only
Advisors and representatives from both offices." The room was tense. Camilla sat there, her face attempting calm, but her tightly clenched hands revealing her anxiety. William sat beside his father, silent but resolute. Charles began, his voice ringing with authority. "I have carefully reviewed the documents. Many proposals were changed before reaching me. The delay in transferring responsibilities must end immediately." He declared clearly William would officially take on the majority of duties on behalf of the king. All proposals related to Charles's schedule from now on must be sent directly to both offices, a decision that implicitly recognized William's position as successor. Schedule. In that document, numerous important tasks once proposed for William had been crossed out or subtly altered. He kept them as a safeguard in case he was removed. When he received orders to be completely removed from his position, the secretary felt overwhelming anger. However, Camilla did not anticipate that her plan would face obstacles from within her own ranks. A long-serving secretary in the royal office, who had witnessed many changes in recent months, had quietly kept the original.
He had dedicated many years and remained loyal to the royal family, but now he was being pushed aside simply for knowing too much. After many sleepless nights, he decided to act. Through a secret channel, the secretary arranged a meeting with William at a safe location outside the palace. The meeting was brief but tense. The secretary handed over the folder to William, his voice trembling with fear and indignation. "Your Highness, I can no longer stay silent. This is what they deliberately changed. I kept it for self-protection, but now..."
I trusted team with examining the entire internal document flow. The results stunned him. All recent health reports on the king from test results and assessments by top, he could help his father arrange a suitable workload and avoid unnecessary risks. But this time, everything was different. Days passed without the files reaching William's office. It started with minor delays, followed by general excuses. William began to feel a deeper unease. He called the head of support, directly, his voice firm. "I need King Charles's medical report today. This is standard procedure. Why is there an obstacle?" The response was still evasive. William did not sit still. He tasked his trust. The next day, unable to accept the vague responses from the coordination office, William decided to act more decisively. He formally requested the latest medical report on King Charles. This was not an unreasonable demand. It was a standard procedure that had existed for years, allowing the prince to understand the situation.
"So I am deeply grateful for your courage. This will help us clarify everything."
With the new evidence in hand, William became even more certain. The original documents clearly showed. William returned to Kensington Palace with mixed emotions. He felt no joy at obtaining the evidence, only heaviness. "My father does not deserve this," he told Catherine, his voice full of worry and responsibility.
Catherine embraced him, speaking gently. "You did the right thing. Now is the time to bring the truth to the..."
Systematic intervention from Camilla's office. It was not only delays, but some documents had also been edited to completely remove William's role in major events.
"Think you need to know the truth." William took the documents, his heart pounding. He looked straight into the secretary's eyes, his voice warm, yet firm.
The approval process. Many proposals to reduce your workload were altered or withheld before reaching you. I suggest you review the entire process directly, rather than only the final summary."
Charles remained silent for a long time, his eyes.
The meeting took place in a solemn atmosphere at Buckingham Palace. Charles looked tired, but retained his dignity. William entered carrying the important folder, his voice calm yet firm. "Father, I do not wish to worry you, but I have discovered a serious issue in the documents." He carefully organized each piece of evidence, original schedules, edited versions, email transfer times, and internal notes. Everything pointed clearly in one direction, a systematic delay aimed at keeping Charles at the center for as long as possible. Finally, William requested a private meeting with King Charles a few days later.
He understood the pressure. His father was exhausted, and any conflict could make things worse. But silence now meant allowing his father to continue exhausting himself due to behind-the-scenes calculations.
After many days of relentless work, William gathered sufficient documents.
Stop them now.
A few days later, when King Charles's health had temporarily stabilized, William requested a meeting with his father on a quiet morning at Buckingham Palace. Camilla learned that some documents had been leaked. She showed clear anxiety. She tried to control the damage by tightening internal procedures further and preparing ready explanations. But deep down, she knew the situation was spiraling out of control. The calculations from 3 months ago had now become a burden.
The climax was approaching. The secret files were no longer tools for concealment. They had become weapons to expose the truth. Camilla tried to manage the situation, but the wheels of history had begun turning powerfully. No one could say king. He needs to know how to decide. William nodded. He understood that Camilla's cover-up affected not only him, but also threatened the king's health and the stability of the entire reign. The secretary had taken great risks, and William would not let that courage go to waste.
When Camilla,
Holding his hand tightly, her gaze steadfast in support. This was not just a personal victory, but a turning point for the entire reign. Charles looked at his son and daughter-in-law. Only an administrative error. But Charles raised his hand to stop her, his tone firm. I have decided. There is no need for further debate. The king's decision was like a decisive cut. Camilla was removed from many important events and no longer participated directly in royal activity decisions. She sat there, her face pale, realizing the power she had tried to hold was slipping away. Bitterness and disappointment were clear in her eyes, but she had no way to change it. William bowed his head before his father, emotions surging. He felt pride and gratitude, but also the weight of his new responsibilities. Catherine stood beside him, his voice warmer. You will lead the future. I am tired, but I am at peace handing it over to you.
After the meeting, the atmosphere of the royal family changed noticeably. William quickly took on important tasks. The schedule had been held back for days or even weeks before reaching him. Some documents had been subtly edited, completely removing sections, suggesting important tasks be assigned to William.
This is not a random mistake, William took pride. You're doing the right thing, William. But stay calm. Your father needs to see the truth, not a confrontation. William nodded and gently squeezed her hand. He told the head of his support team, his voice low but decisive. Someone has intervened deliberately. That person could be Queen Camilla. The deeper he dug, the clearer the picture became. Internal emails showed Camilla's office was often the final approval point. Urgent proposals from the medical team were unreasonably delayed. William felt a surge of anger, but quickly restrained it. This was not the time for emotions to take over. He needed logic and solid evidence to present to his father. Catherine was always by his side, sharing the burden. She looked at her husband with eyes filled with both worry and no details, no explanations. I know my father is exhausted. The doctors have warned him, but he still tries to appear everywhere. If this continues, he stopped, unwilling to voice his full fears. The image of King Charles, with his resilient smile, her expression gradually grew serious. As someone who always stood by his side, she understood the pressure her husband bore. Have you asked the coordination office? What did they say? William sighed, his voice deepening. They only gave vague replies that everything follows the latest instructions from the king, rarely assigned to him despite his frail health. There's nothing delegated to me for preparation or support. Catherine, I feel like someone is deliberately prolonging all of this. Catherine sat down beside him and reviewed the document together. The pile of papers, she approached and placed a warm hand on his shoulder. William, what are you looking at? You don't look well at all. William looked up, trying to force a reassuring smile, but unable to hide his unease. Father's schedule. Most of the major events are still entirely... Silent alarm, awakening the deepest suspicions in his heart. William sat in his private office at Kensington Palace, the warm golden light illuminating his handsome, yet clearly... The atmosphere in the Buckingham Palace royal offices seemed as calm as ever. The official operating schedule for the second half of the year was released, a familiar routine that the British media and public always anticipated. However, for Prince William, that document was no longer a simple plan. It felt like a the king, as she always claimed. Or was this all part of a plan to prevent William from stepping into the role he should have assumed long ago? At the end of June 2020, pensive face. He flipped through each page, his eyes scanning the lines. The Commonwealth heads of government meeting in Rwanda, the important state visit to Canada, the National Memorial Service for a major anniversary. Her influence and that of her office would quickly diminish. She summoned her trusted aides for a meeting. Camilla's voice remained gentle, but carried undeniable weight. We must keep the king's schedule stable for as long as possible.
All health reports and proposals to adjust the schedule must come through here before going anywhere else. The aides nodded in compliance, though some felt uneasy. Queen Camilla had made her own private and cold calculations. She sat in her private office at Clarence House, the soft light illuminating a face that still retained its elegance over the years, but her eyes revealed a mix of anxiety and determination. Camilla knew clearly if William took on more duties early, easy in their hearts. Camilla made it clear any document mentioning reducing Charles's load or delegating tasks to William must be thoroughly reviewed by her. Many reasonable proposals from doctors and advisors suggesting a gradual transfer of responsibilities to the prince.
Determination. His father had ended the delay. A new reign was beginning. With Catherine by his side, he was ready to shoulder this heavy yet honorable responsibility.
This dramatic royal story shows that power must always be transparent for the common good. William proved his mettle, Charles demonstrated his wisdom, and Camilla had to accept the new reality. According to you, was Prince William right to quietly investigate to protect King Charles's health, or should he have confronted Camilla directly from the beginning? Charles make a historic decision.
Camilla withdrew from the center of power, appearing less in official activities. She understood that her time in the controlling role had ended. William stood on the balcony of Kensington Palace, looking out over London, his heart full of risks,
appearing in place of King Charles at many events. The public began to recognize that the transition was happening forcefully. The secret files had finally fulfilled their mission. They not only exposed the delays, but also helped in during the royal transition.